All right.
Are we set to do this?
Yeah, we have something to do. We have an issue.
Yeah.
The issue is to write integration tests in Postman.
Yeah.
What does that even mean? Well, in Postman, besides...
You have your response and stuff, you actually have a test suite that you can write.
So here we have our little collection to-dos with our request get items.
Yeah.
And currently I can send the request and it doesn't even respond.
Your server is not ready.
My server is not running. So that's the first thing. If you want to play with integration testing in Postman,
you need to set up your server.
Start your server.
That was straightforward.
And I want to start my server from scratch.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm deleting the database.
So it will get created the first time you're actually using it.
And it will be empty too. So let's start the server. So integration testing, what we are doing is writing computer programs that will run things
automatically.
It will pretend to be the browser.
Yes.
And it will do
Send
the requests
to your servers.
And it will run tests against the responses. Yep. And we can check that, well, for instance, the first thing is our get request, get items. It must return with a status of 200, for instance, right? So that's simple. So coming back to here to Postman, we can send the request and we can see that the status is 200.
Yeah, so that's fine.
And
it's an empty list.
It's an empty list, but the status is 200. So we can write a test to make sure that this is the case. If we make some mistake in the server and break this, we will get an answer, which is different from the automated tests we had on the server, because then we are not even touching Javalin.
Yep.
We are only testing the class for items in our tests in JUnit.
Yes.
So that's a whole different story. That's testing our logic, not our
integration.
Endpoints.
Yeah, exactly, not our endpoint.
So here, let's write a test to do this. Well, Postman comes with snippets.
It's handy.
It's a good place to start. So let's use this one, that the status code is 200.
Does our job for us.
And then I ran it again just by hitting send.
Yep.
And it's running a test.
Yes.
And it's saying that the status code is
200. Yeah, that's fine.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And this message is coming from here.
Yes.
If we change this, it will change this as well. There are some things I don't like about this code. It's somewhat old style JavaScript. Saying the keyword function here is kind of old style, so I will use the different notation. That's what we are doing on the browser, on the front end as well. This is JavaScript. If I haven't mentioned, this is JavaScript. So yeah, it's pretty much like a browser.
I think we covered JavaScript in excruciating detail.
And PM is Postman.
Yes, it's a variable that comes with the Postman test suite when you're actually working with it in Postman. We
have used some of the things that come with the browser. So let's go here to resources, and this is our front end in index.html. This is our React code.
Yes.
And in the React code, we are using things like window. Where is window coming from? Well, it comes from the browser.
Yep.
Same story. PM comes from Postman.
Yeah.
We don't have access to window here, but we do have access to PM.
Postman, yeah.
And PM is in this thing called, there is a link to this in the toolbox, and in this thing called the Postman Sandbox.
Yes.
It comes with a bunch of things, like it comes with test. And Postman knows how to deal with this to write these little messages here. And then you give it a message, and then you give it a function to run, and then there is PM response. It's also in the sandbox.
Yes. It's a property of PM, basically. Like they defined a good enough object that can handle stuff like this. That will make life easier for us, to be honest.
Yep. So
also, shout out to Postman. They just raised another round. I hope they're around for a couple more years.
Yeah. And it's a great tool.
Yeah.
It's really good to use. So now we have this Postman response, and then we have this part. What is this doing? Well, this is writing a test.
Yeah.
So in Java, we were using JUnit.
Here it's Postman. That's it.
It's Postman.
Yeah.
In Postman, we have this library called, it's already in Postman.
Yeah, you don't have to install.
It's called Chai.
I don't. Okay.
It's a testing library.
Yes.
So it's assertion library.
Yeah, it checks values. It says that something should be of a particular format, should have particular attributes, stuff like that.
Look at this. They have many things here.
Yep.
You can write a lot of different tests.
Yep.
Probably the simplest one is this to have status.
Yeah, it's English. Like you're actually writing English. Response to have status is how someone would converse.
So I want to show this a little better.
That's a good thing.
Let's see what the response even is.
Yeah.
Okay, so here I send, and I go to the console right here, and I can see everything that was printed.
Oh, you'll have to resend it.
Yeah, I'll have to resend it. I can see everything that was printed. So here it's an object.
It's an empty object here.
It's not empty. It has a bunch of things.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
In particular, it has something called status, I suppose?
Yes, that's code.
Yeah, I don't know why it's called status here and code here.
Yeah, it's inconsistent.
I don't know. Oh, status okay.
Oh, so it translates.
Yeah, I don't know. It's doing some magic here.
Or I'm guessing you can use response.response code.code or something like that.
Something like that?
No.
Maybe this will work. No. It doesn't. Oh, so it's a chai property code.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so it has to go from response to response code and then to code.
Yeah, well, I don't know what magic it's doing here, but it's using chai under the hood to have this nifty little syntax here first to write a test.
Makes our life easier again.
Yeah. So this is a simple test that we are getting at 200, and we are.
Yep.
I would also like to test something about the body of the response.
Yeah.
So this list, right? It's a
right
JSON
now it's
list.
empty, so that's not good.
Well, but we can test that it's a list.
Yes.
It's something. So here we can write another test that is PM test
object is
response list, JSON is a list.
Yeah.
And we give it a function. And this function will also say something about the response.
Yes.
But in this case, we want to parse the response as JSON. And this response knows how to parse itself as JSON using this. And I expect
this to
be
list, I'm guessing.
An array, because that's how JavaScript calls lists.
Looks like the syntax is correct.
Yeah, I am making the syntax up, but I kind of also looking at the documentation here because I want the thing to be an array. So to be an array sounds like it. And this expect thing, I need to say PM expect because I am in Postman. So PM expect this JSON to be an array. Let's see if this passes. And it does. So the response JSON is a list. But it's an empty list. It's kind of boring. I want to have some items in my list. Well, to do that, I want to, before I even run my request.
So you need to send you need to send a post request before your get request.
Yeah. So in my pull request script, I have a chance to run some code before I run the main request. Well, let's see if there is a snippet that we can use. Send a request.
That's all you want.
Perfect. So PM send request, and we don't need to do anything with the result of that request. So we can just do it like this. And we need to change this URL to be this one. But we also need to change the method.
Yeah, it should be a post request. So you make a dict, call it URL.
And method
equal post, whatever post.
Where is this all coming from? Well, from the sandbox. So there is something to send request. No, it's coming from the API. Send request. And then we see that there is an example here.
Call URL and method. And of course, you have a million other things that you can send, but this is the simplest thing.
This is good enough for now. So now we are sending a request to create an item before we even send the main request to get items, the one that we are testing. So let's just run this again and look at the body of the response, not of the request. So the body of the response now has an item. And the more I do it, the more items I get.
Exactly. And you will also notice the tests are still passing. So that's good.
The tests are passing because they don't even look at the contents of the list.
And
now
we need to do that.
So now let's write another test. Screw up. Test. Let's write another test checking each element in the list.
Has an identifier and a description.
We know for a fact, because the database started empty, that the thing was going to be an empty list. Now that the database is no longer empty, it may have many items.
Something,
if we run the test suite again and again and again, it will have many
always,
items.
yeah, exactly.
So we want to check all the items that are there. So now we can write another test that
correctly formatted items.
Items are the items
have attributes,
have identifier and description. And this will be another test.
Yes.
And so same story, right? So well, not really, because we want this for each item in the list.
So you just, exactly. Make it a constant and then work with it.
Yeah, so now we have a list here.
Yeah.
And we can say for each.
Yeah.
Remember, we did this for each thing back in the browser.
Exactly. Yeah.
Many episodes ago in JavaScript. So for each. Now for each what? For each item.
Yeah. Make a function again.
And then we can say PM expect the item
to
have all.
To have keys.
To have keys? I don't remember. Are you sure?
Yeah. Pretty sure.
To have
keys.
Keys.
Yes.
To have keys. Excellent. To have
keys. Wait, actually, can you go back? So there are two things. To have all keys or to have keys. I think
this one is recommended.
It's recommended. So
using to have all keys.
Yes.
And
identifier. And description.
Yep. You know what? I'm going to misspell this because I want to see what happens when I get an error. Yeah. So I have an error, and items have identifier and description. That's the name of my test. Yeah. And this is the error, a session error. Expected the thing that came back from the browser, from the server. I expected the thing that we are testing, this, to have the keys identifier and description. Some tests fail like this with a good error message, but some tests fail horribly. Yeah. Some tests fail horribly. For instance, suppose I'm trying to call the function yash, which, as far as I can tell,
there's no relation.
It doesn't come.
Nothing,
as far as I understand, Postman doesn't have this function, right? So if I send this request,
watching, add it.
So this is a different kind of error. It's probably not as good a name as some other errors. Or maybe this, I think this may demonstrate what I wanted. No. So there are some errors that are so bad that they break the whole test suite. And you don't even get a nice error like this. Oh, maybe if I try to do this outside. So let's try to do this outside the test. Okay. Now we get this kind of error. I broke the whole test suite. That happens sometimes. And what you have to do is, you can try to check this, or you can come here to the console. Sure. And then you see some other errors here as well. And you can use that to debug your tests. But okay, so now we can fix this with description and the test will pass.
Yeah.
Looks good to me.
Yeah, that's fine.
So now I'm testing everything I can about the GET request.
Yeah.
Or everything that I care to test. Because I could test further. I could test that identifier is a number.
It's too much work. I think we're good with this much.
Yeah, and the description is a string or whatever. But I think that we are good for now. And this is an argument to make about tests in general. You can always write more tests. You have to think about the ones that are useful to you. And I think that testing that the identifier is a number is not useful to me right now.
Yeah.
I don't expect
later. Might be later, but not right now.
Yeah. I expect that even if I had to test this, it would probably be because someone broke something.
Yep.
But for now, I don't care about this much. Okay, so let's go to the post request.
Yeah. Okay, so again, let's do a status check. Just see if it actually works.
So first thing
Scroll up even more. Yeah, you can just copy that over. And 201 though.
Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to run this to see. Well, I got a 201 from the server. Remember, that's what the server returns for creating items.
That's it.
Right here. Yep. So now we need to change this to be
201.
201. Well, I could also just change the test and not the description, and then I would get a weird message
inconsistency.
But it's a 211. Fair. Now let's test something else. Well, we can't test anything about the body of the response because it's empty.
Yeah.
It's
so again, let's send
a
request to actually get something from there.
Yeah, to get something from there. Well, what do you want to test even? What is our purpose? I have one in mind.
Identifier.
Yeah, I want to test that the identifiers don't clash, that they're ever increasing.
Yes.
And this is something that we know the server is doing
because we added the auto increment feature for SQLite.
Exactly. Yeah. So we are always getting new identifiers, but I want to test this.
Yeah.
So one way is to just say test. Identifiers are always increasing. Now, could I use?
Question though.
Yeah.
How will you do this, considering you have to get 2 items?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So I could say use the response.json thing. I could start to use this, and I think it will work for now. Okay. So I think I know what you have in mind, and we will address this in a minute. But let's use this for now, okay? So we have a JSON with the response. But what does it have? Let's look at the log. And do I have the log open? No. All right, the console is open now. So let's run this request and see what we get.
There's some error.
No data.
No data, yeah.
No data. So we are not getting any data out of this request. We really want to do a request to get the items, right? And we kind of know how to do that. We just say send request, right? That's what we did in the pre-script.
Here, yeah.
Right here. So now that we want to do this,
we can copy that over.
Yeah, well, we can do something even simpler because the default method is get, so we don't even have to put that whole object.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is simpler. And we can do something with the response. So we get here a response.
Yeah.
Now we are doing a request that we are testing and another request here, a follow-up request, just to get the items. Now let's see what we get out of here. I suppose that we are going to get the same error. Oh, now we are getting the error in a different place. No, just empty input. Why? Well, because PM response is always the response that we are testing.
Yep.
Not this guy. This guy is the response of this request. That's the guy we want.
Yeah. So you can just do response.json.
And now let's look at the console, and we get some array with elements. Each element has an identifier that is always changing, right?
Yeah.
I have an idea. We could map over the list of identifiers. And in this map, remember, map is like for each. We have used for each in the past.
Yeah.
Oh, in fact, we are using map in the front end.
Yep.
So map is the function that we are using here. Yep. So map is, you have a list, and you apply that function for each item in the list.
Yeah.
So here we have an item
that
we are mapping over. And we want the item, identifier. And we want to return this identifier, so I can use this syntax. I could also say return, but no, I can just, if I remove the braces, then this becomes the return of that. So now let's see what we have here. We have now an array of identifiers.
Yeah.
And now what we want to do is to check that they are all different.
Yes.
So is there something in Chai to say that something is different or distinct?
You might be better off checking unique, maybe.
Unique?
Or maybe not. No, that you had the wrong spelling for distinct. NCT.
Yeah. No, not found. So it doesn't appear like that there is something in Chai to test that everything is distinct. But there are other libraries. So let's check this other one called Lodash. It's a bunch of utilities for arrays and for objects. So maybe there is something here. Unique ID?
No, that's creation though. That's not hard.
Unique.
I think all of that are like that.
Yeah. Difference.
No, this is mathematical.
Yeah, in distinct. No, so we'll have to write some of this ourselves.
Yeah.
How about we have this list of identifiers, and we just check
if the previous one is less than the next one.
Yeah, how about that? You know what? We are returning this in order. We can see in the console that we are returning this in order. So it means that the request we are testing is this one.
Yes.
So I will just reverse this list.
Yep.
And then I can say...
You need to change the name.
This name?
Oh, no, it's fine. That's fine. Sorry.
So I can say PM expect the identifiers at 0.
Yeah.
To be equal, I suppose.
Yeah.
I think that's how you write it.
Yeah. Identifiers
at 1.
Yeah. Plus 1.
Plus 1.
Plus 1, yeah. I think that should be fine.
And now we are not testing all the items in the list. We are just checking the last 2. Yeah. And look at that. The tests are passing.
Fine, yeah. Can you check the console? Do we have anything there? No, that looks okay.
Yeah. We are not logging anything.
Yeah, that should be.
Oh, it's super cool. You can see the request and the response in the console. And we can see here the post request. Yeah, in fact, let's put the 2 side by side if you can. Okay, so you can see here. Oh, I can't scroll long enough. Okay, like this. So clear the console, and we can see here the 2 requests. First, the post in the pre-request.
Yep.
Oh, what? No. What am I saying? The post, the test that we are doing, and then the get from here.
That one, yes, exactly.
So this get that is coming from here, and we can see them all. Excellent. So
that's that.
That's a test.
Yeah.
But there is still something that bothers you, right?
Yes.
So let's see. If I start the server from scratch with an empty database,
what are you going to do then?
And I send just this request, not this one. If I send this request, then
it's
this
fine.
pre-request
You're
script will do
something. It's okay.
But if I do this, it will fail. Oh,
see?
It failed. Assertion expected 1 to be not a number.
Not right.
That is weird because this is not related to the code I wrote. But the problem here is that the list of identifiers only has 1 element.
Exactly.
We can see here in the body of the response, maybe? No, it would be in the body of the other response.
Exactly. You need to go to the get. Oh.
Yeah, I lost the console. But the problem is that there is only 1 element in the list.
Exactly, yeah.
So to make sure that there is at least 2 elements in the list, we can do the same thing we did here in the pre-request. We can do it here in this pre-request script.
Yep.
Now, this is us just being really pedantic.
Yeah, this is just insurance.
So there will be, when I restart the server.
Exactly, yeah.
I will look at the console this time.
Good idea.
There will be, now I ran the request, and there is a post
there's 2
from the pre-request,
yes.
a post from the main,
our actual request,
a get from our
the
test.
Yes, exactly.
And I think this is all we have to test.
For this, yeah?
Yeah, I don't care about anything else.
Right now, yeah.
Right now.
So we can...
I could, right? I could write a test to check that the response body is empty.
Yeah.
I could write a test.
You can always write more tests.
I can always write more tests.
Yeah, you can always write more tests.
I could write a test to check that all the identifiers are unique.
Yep.
That wouldn't be too hard to do, I suppose.
No, it's just a for loop that can iterate through the previous and the next one, that's all.
Yeah.
All that is trivial though, like that is fine.
Yeah, so I think that this is good enough. And it's also checking that not only they are different, but they are increasing.
Incremental, yeah, that's the point. So here, the point has been made that it is 0 and like whatever, the difference is only 1, which is fine because we're sending the 2 requests.
Yeah.
So it will be always enforced. If we didn't have that, we should have just checked greater than or something like that, like a different just a different mathematical equation. That's all.
Yeah, we see in the console 3 requests. So this one is from the pre-request.
Yes.
This one is for main
the actual
request.
Test request, and
this is from get.
Yeah, inside.
But suppose that between these 2,
there is something else.
Deleting an item in the list, because marking an item as done as we'll see later.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll delete an item from the list.
Yep.
And then the test wouldn't pass. But
yes.
we were finicky enough to put this thing in the pre-request script to test against a case of this being the first test that runs when you just started the server with an empty database. Whatever, man. This is good enough for now.
Yeah, that's good enough.
I'm happy with this. Let's move on to something else.
Yeah.
So
okay. So now
let's go
we can actually track this in issues.
Yeah, and we need to commit this.
Yeah, exactly.
So the way to do this is coming back to the whole collection. We export this again.
I find this tedious, to be honest, like exporting every time.
Yeah, the thing is, Postman isn't really designed to work like this.
Exactly, yeah.
It is designed for you to share the collections with your teammates, and there is a whole service for sharing. That's what this is all about, this synchronization and this antenna. But the problem is you have to synchronize this with your teammates and everything. I find it easier to put it in the repository with everything else.
Yeah.
So I'm just putting it here.
Yeah. Save it.
Replace. And then here in IntelliJ, there will be something.
The server.
There's yeah. So we can see some changes here, and this is the JSON that
Postman generates in that collection. Yes.
Yeah. And we see here some tests with our code, but this is stuff that we don't really have to care about.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so add integration tests with Postman. And this is good enough for me. So let's push. No, cancel. Branch.
Sorry.
Exactly. So let's go to branch, new branch, integration testing.
Yeah.
But what do we do now? We have already committed. Well, let's see. Let's look at the log.
We have?
Yeah, I have committed. I have. So now master and our branch are here. I don't know why it's not showing us that. Oh, it is. It's just too small. So yeah, integration testing is here and master is here. We wanted master to be behind.
Yep.
So we have to fix this. Let's see. I can come here back to
Git
branches, go back to master, and check out master. I am now in master. And I want to make master go back.
Back one, yeah.
I wonder if IntelliJ can help me. Maybe it can, maybe it cannot. Compare, show, branches, tag, merge, stash,
There's
and
no
stash.
revert option.
Yeah. Rebase, no, nothing. Okay.
Reset head. No, that's head, not master.
Yeah, that's another story. So I don't think that we can do this in IntelliJ, or maybe we can, and I don't know how. So I'll do this on the command line for a change, okay? So we can use Git on the command line, of course. And the operation we want is to reset hard. This operation is, okay, this master branch, a branch is really just a pointer to a commit.
Exactly,
So looking back here at the log, these branches, they are really just pointers at this commit.
Last commit, yes.
What I want to do is just take this pointer and
push it
make it point to something else.
Exactly.
And this something else is origin/master. Right? So I can say reset hard to origin/master. And now
that's it.
Master is reversed. So this is a very common mistake, and this is how you solve it.
Go to branches, check out
integration testing, and then push.
Push.
Git push this guy. Coming back here to our issue.
Actually, go to the code first.
Yes. We have a new branch.
Compare and pull request.
And I will do something special here. In this commit message, I say that I am addressing the issue number 10.
Exactly, yeah.
So closes number 10.
Yep.
And create pull request. Now this is interesting because it
actually gives you a link there.
Yeah, this pull request closes number 10. So I have a link to go back to number 10. And I have a link to go from number 10 to the pull request. So now I have linked an issue that is...
You need to refresh though.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh, all right. So we have an issue and a pull request. The issue is, I am working on this. The pull request is, this is my work.
I have made some progress with this.
So this is my work.
This off.
And more importantly, this pull request will close this issue.
Yes.
So when we merge that pull request, the issue will be closed automatically. So we have
first take it off because that's done. There you go, and now you can merge your pull request.
I haven't actually tested this. This is one of the tests I said I don't care about.
That's fine.
Well, I still don't care about it.
Yeah.
So now this is, the tests are still running, and this is something we may have to address in the future because the tests that we just wrote are not running on Travis. Travis is only running
the
unit
previous
tests.
test, exactly. This is Postman.
Yeah. So now we want Travis to also run these integration tests.
Yes.
We'll do that later. So yeah, with that, we can merge the pull request. I'm trusting that this will all pass. And now this is closed automatically.
If you go to the project board, if you refresh again, there you go.
Closed.
4 out of 4. And
closed as well.
Yes.
We went way over time. We are not even showing up any longer on the camera.
Shit.
So it's time for us to say goodbye.
Yeah.
I see you on the next one.